Chuck's grandmother gave him a box to open only when he was facing difficult times before he left for college. He decided to save the box and only open it after she passed away, when he was struggling and needed some support. To his surprise, he found something special that his grandmother had saved inside the box. "I don't need any more from you, Grandma," Chuck said to Constance, who had just stopped him at the door as he was about to leave for college in California. Chuck, who had been raised by Constance in their small hometown in Utah, felt that she had already given him everything he could ever need. Constance and Chuck had only each other for many years, and she did her best to provide for him with her job. Despite not having much, they were happy together, even though they were a small family for so long. At 15, Chuck began working several part-time jobs to contribute to the household expenses. He gave his grandmother nearly all of his earnings, only keeping a small amount for himself to go out with friends occasionally. Now that he was leaving for college, they didn't know when they would see each other again, as Chuck would have to work and study at the same time. He was already packed and ready to head to the nearest bus station for his long trip when Constance stopped him, telling him that he had something to give him. Here, you need to take this, Chuck," she said, pushing a box into his hands. It was somewhat heavy. "Oh, Gran, this is pretty heavy. What's inside?" "Maybe we can mail it," he said, worried about carrying so much already when he didn't have his own car. No, we can't mail it. It's valuable." Constance shook her head. "But, Chuck, you have to promise not to open it until it's time." "When will it be time?" the 18-year-old wondered, raising an eyebrow. "Open it only in hard times," Constance continued, looking at him with serious, wide eyes. Chuck frowned and pursed his lips, but he nodded and placed the box tightly into one of his bags. "Oh, Gran, let's go," he said, and they both walked to the bus stop. They hugged each other, and Constance cried as her grandson got on his bus. "Remember to have some fun, Chuck," she yelled, and he waved at her from his window seat. Little did Chuck know that it would be the last time he ever saw her. Chuck never returned to Utah, but he and Constance kept in constant communication through the years as he graduated from college and got his first job in Silicon Valley. His grandmother had been sick during his graduation ceremony, but that was all right. He knew she was there in spirit because none of it would be possible without her. Unfortunately, 2 years after his graduation, he received the most dreaded phone call anyone could receive. Constance had never woken up, and Chuck's world seemed to end there and then.
Also, if you've not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these animal stories every day. Now, back to the story.
He was haphazardly packing his things at home, crying and throwing stuff on the floor in frustration and grief. He hated himself for not visiting her since he left. He felt guilty that she passed away alone after everything she sacrificed to raise him. That's life, isn't it? Just one horrible thing after another, and then we're gone. Chuck spatted, and his angry fist connected with the closet door. Unexpectedly, something moved inside and fell loudly. With a long sigh, he opened the closet and spotted something he had not seen in years. It was the box, his grandmother's box. Chuck started crying as he placed his hands on his face and his knees bent to the floor. His hands pulled away and reached toward the fallen box. "Well, if this isn't a hard time, then I don't know what is," he said as he opened it. He never imagined what he would find inside. He didn't expect it, which only made him even more miserable. A letter inside the box read, "Dear Chuck, I couldn't take my teenage grandson's money, so I saved all of it here and added a little bit. Please, use it when you need it the most, and know that raising you was the best thing I ever did. Love, Grandma." But below, Chuck found money, close to $40,000, which mostly came from his years of working several jobs as a kid till they could live better at home, and Constance added some herself as well. He couldn't believe it. This was for you. He had earned that money so she wouldn't have to work so much. Instead, she saved and gave it back with more. However, Chuck should have expected it. His grandmother barely thought about anything except him. The young man cried some more until the tears wouldn't fall at all. Then, he closed the box, placed it in his bag, and took off. It was time to drive back to Utah. The funeral went as expected. Most attendees were good friends of Constance from their neighborhood and some townsfolk who wanted to pay their respects. She was buried as she wished to, and when everyone left, Chuck took the box out of the trunk of his car and went to sit by her tombstone. "You shouldn't have saved this. This was for you, for everything you did for me. You deserved a treat," he wailed, hitting the grass as he looked at the money in the box. "This was for you." He repeated those words many times during the hours he spent there. When he calmed down somewhat, he came to a decision. "I'm going to do something great with this, and I bet you would have loved it, Gran," Chuck promised and left. It was dark already, but the stars illuminated the area, so the cemetery wasn't really scary. Grandma Constance already dreamed of having her vegetable garden right at home, but she never got around to doing it because that takes a lot of work. She didn't have time for that, but Chuck decided he did. He quit his job in California and moved permanently back. After returning to his hometown, Chuck took care of his grandmother's garden and repaired her house. He eventually started his own business and met the love of his life. Chuck's wife also loved the garden, which flourished under their care, providing the freshest ingredients for their meals, just as his grandmother would have wanted. I hope you liked this video. Please share it and subscribe to our channel. Also press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.